To learn to live the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Click the bell notification. It's all free. Well, we finally got it all split. Everything's split. All I got to do now is stack it, or at least the pieces that we could split, I should say. Some of it will need to be dried. Of course, we throw that stuff over here. We let it dry for a season or two, and then it's easier to split. Some of these will need to be cut with the chainsaw so I can get that to split. But everything else has been split. And Carolyn did the bulk of it. She probably did 95% of it with this little manual log splitter. This thing's went through 2 seasons now, $100. You know, people tell you gotta have a gas-powered chainsaw. I was talking about buying an electric one the other day. Oh no, you need to get a gas-powered one. And we're still struggling. Do we really want to get rid of this one? It's just a really handy machine. It does great. So I got this pile left to stack. I got a pile up here that I need to get stacked. So tomorrow I'll work on that. I'll get the lawnmower out with the wagon, and we can pull that down the hill. It's probably 2 or 3 trips, maybe 4 trips. And I'll have that all put away. I have been putting a lot of it away, and as I was doing it, I would turn the mower deck on. And so as I was pulling the wagon down, I was cutting grass at the same time. Got 2 jobs done at once. Well, mostly done. I mean, there's a couple areas I still got to get on the lawnmower, but I would say 90% of the grass is cut too, and that saved on gasoline. I was really proud of myself that I was able to do both at the same time. I know that sounds silly. So multitasking, but I'm really glad it's done. Now we got, I think, I'm just guessing, we got it right around 11 cords. I haven't actually measured it. I've stepped it off, but Carolyn went a lot further up than I was expecting. So there may be 11 cords here by themselves. And then I got probably another cord down there, half a cord up here. So, I mean, we may be up 12 cords. So I'm really close to my goal of 15 cords, which would be 15 years of firewood. And I've talked about preservation, keep it off the ground, put some termite control. You can buy that stuff at Lowe's. And it's oak wood, hickory, and it's just not gonna rot in 15 years. Now, the bottom layer may get a little bad, but for the most part, it's gonna be fine. So 15 years of firewood. So if I replace the wood I use every year, then around 65, I can retire. I won't have to do any more firewood. So that means I just got to replace 1 cord a year. That's 3 trees or 3 trips with the pickup truck. And we can do that real easy. Now, the thing I find very interesting is we work all year round on firewood. We don't pick a month, say, okay, that's the month that we're going to do firewood, which is what a lot of people do. They pick October and say, okay, we're going to cut firewood. I can just do a little bit at a time, truckload here, truckload there. Now, unfortunately, all of July, June and July, we couldn't find any firewood, free firewood, I should say. And that's what we've been trying to do, is just kind of help the environment, I guess, and save money and time and effort, and save our trees as much as possible. If somebody's cutting down a tree and they don't want it anymore, we go and get it. I got this app called Free Stuff, and it monitors Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, just different areas. And anytime someone's giving away free firewood, it's close by, I try to go get it. The bulk of this right here was 7 miles away. So about half of this stack was only 7 miles away. Of course, I had to climb a massive hill to get it all. That was pretty treacherous. So, I mean, 6 one way, half a dozen other. The thing is if I was here, if I didn't have the lawnmower, I'd be carrying it up this hill also. So it's work. It's just part of what I want to do. I really enjoy this. The firewood that we cut last year, I've been testing the moisture content, and I really think we're down to below 20% on the majority of our wood on this side here, especially down here. This will burn really good. We got a bunch on the porch that is below 20%. We got sycamore in the house that's below 20%. And of course, in the cooler months like October, November, we won't burn near as much as we will in, say, February. So I'm really excited and happy with all the firewood we got. It's just that time of year. I know people get tired of me talking about firewood, but when you're in the firewood season, that's what you do. So like I said, we work on it, truckload here, truckload there, and before you know it, you got 15 cords of firewood sitting here. and you didn't have to take a vacation from your job to do it. Do it in the afternoons when it's cool, do it in the mornings when it's cool, work up a little bit of sweat, get some good exercise. But last year, there was a tree that fell down in the city park, about, just a few miles from us. And that's where I got all of this from, I'd say about half of this stack. It's from that tree down there. It was a massive oak tree. I'm sure some people are going to remember those videos that I made. The branches themselves that were coming off of it, it had fallen over is what it was. A windstorm knocked it over. The branches themselves were as big as a tree. I got a lot of firewood out of that deal. Well, while I was down there getting it, I was going down there every third day and I was cutting some. I always try to give myself 3 days just so I can rest my back and I don't overexert myself. Well, I don't know, I'd been going down there for several weeks, every third day, and this guy comes up and just chews me out. Tells me how horrible I am for taking his tree. He was going to get that, but he didn't have enough money to get a new chainsaw chain. Again, those that watched my videos last year will know what I'm talking about. Well, here it is coming up on the end of the season, and he doesn't have firewood. He's telling me that he's not going to be able to heat his house and take care of his family. So I said, okay, that's fine. I'll take a little bit of a break and you can come up here and cut it. I don't remember all the sequence of events very well, but I went back down there, I think after 6 or 8 days, 10 days, 12 days, whatever, a couple weeks, I started cutting again, nobody touched it. Well, I thought, well, if you're not gonna cut it, we're getting late in the season, I just as well take it. So I started cutting again. Well, his wife came over, chewed me out. She was a lot nicer, she didn't cuss me out. And then again, it happened again and just so forth and so on. Well, he ended up coming over here finally and getting a few branches. Hardly got anything. I drove by the city park again a couple days ago. He was down there again in the city park cutting up trees, and these trees were actually living trees. Now, you gotta remember, it's a unincorporated town. They voted to unincorporate, so the park is just kind of maintained by people, not the city, so he has every right to go down there and cut the tree. But it was a healthy tree and he cut it down. So once again, it's getting late in the season. He's starting to panic and he's cutting the trees that he doesn't need to cut when he could have just went around all summer long picking up free firewood like I did. But they just don't, and I don't understand that. They get all panicky right towards the end of the year. It's too late then. The firewood's gonna be too wet to burn. I can't burn this stuff. It's just way too wet. It's 28 to 30% moisture content. That's got at least to have 6 months to a year to dry. Better, since it's oak, 2 years. He's just not prepared. So he's gonna be struggling all winter. His wife's gonna be chewing him out again. And so the other day I got a visit from somebody. He says, hey, what are you doing with all this firewood? Do you really need that much? I said, yep. He said, for that little house? I said, yes, sir. I didn't tell him anything beyond that. I am going to use all this eventually. What he really wanted to know is, am I going to use it this year? Well, if I told him no, that this was going to be a 15-year supply, I knew exactly what he's going to do. People are starting to eyeball the firewood. They see the huge stacks, they see the split wood next to the road. I got to get it off the road. I got to get it off there because it's drawing too much attention. And people get desperate. And eventually they're going to come down here and steal it. Of course, we don't leave, so it would be tough for them to steal it. We're always home. The longest we're ever gone is maybe 2 hours to go to the grocery store. I remember last year, branch fell down, and it was my branch. It fell down, so I cleaned it up. It was the cold season. It was heavy snow, February, and a guy was walking down the hill. He says, what do you need that for? You got plenty of firewood. I said, yes, sir. And that's all I said. He wanted it. You could tell he wanted it, and it frustrated him that I was taking it. And I'm sure there are going to be people out there who are going to call me selfish, that I should share my efforts. Firewood like this is a lot of work. This is my retirement. And it would be like saying you've been paying into 401k your entire life, but somebody needs the money more than you do because they didn't prepare themselves, and so you start giving away your 401k. When somebody tells me that I need to give away my firewood, and it happens a lot, every time I talk about firewood and people wanting the firewood, people tell me that I should give it away. That's what nice people do. Well, then you give away your 401k. because that's what nice people do. See, it doesn't make sense that I should have to get something that I worked so hard for away when people just stand around all year and then in October are desperate. And they're willing to steal for it. They're willing to lie for it. Oh, I need it. We're not going to make it through the winter without it. Well, I don't know what that guy did all winter long. He didn't have any. What did he do? Obviously, he was lying to me. He made it because he's back down there this year trying again. And when I say this, it gets me in trouble too. But Carolyn is the same way of thinking. Is people get so wrapped up in their entertainment that they forget about the work. Sitting home, drinking the beer, eating the chips, watching the football game, and then it's like, my gosh, it's -2 degrees outside. I need some firewood. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to go down there to that guy and see if he'll give me some. And then when I don't give him some, well, I'm the jerk. So like I was saying, this guy stops by a few days ago and he wants to know what I'm doing with the firewood. Here's what concerns me is if things go bad, do people put away their moral compass and start taking things because they think they need it more than you do? I mean, I hear this all the time after hurricanes. If you look down at Louisiana, they just had a hurricane, and there were people saying that people were stealing gas and generators and from people's backyards because they needed it. So when people get desperate, they start taking from others who prepared. I hope I can inspire you to prepare for your future. Thanks for watching.